Welcome back. This is the news review on the AM show. We get right into it, joining the conversation. They say ladies first, don't they? Dr. Ikuabwako is with the Communications Directorate of the New Patriotic Party. Osei Kofi is with the CPP's Communications team. Lady, gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation. I'm going to start with a very basic question. And I want to see whether it will take a political swing. Many months back, we used to talk about the state of life. I'll start with you, Doc. How are you feeling in Ghana under John Dramani Mahama?
I don't know how I'm meant to answer this question. My lights have been going off quite frequently, so that's one of my main challenges. Yes, that's one of my main challenges. And another issue has been brought to my attention, actually, by my colleagues regarding their car waivers, which...
regarding
their car waivers. You know, in our last conditions of service agreement, when I say I mean GMA, there were stipulations in there for tax waivers for importation of cars. So
for medical doctors.
Exactly. So last year we were able to clear a few cars with the help of the former Minister of Health and Finance. And because of that, a lot of my colleagues went ahead to purchase more cars outside, and now there are over 51 vehicles that are stuck at the port. We are not getting any feedback from the Ministry of Finance as to why there's a delay in signing the tax waivers, and the charges at the port are accruing. So as you can imagine, that's a very sensitive topic for us. It's basically all we discuss on our pages now. We're not even in the frame of mind to give the best to our patients. So I would like to use this platform to draw attention of all stakeholders involved so that we can swiftly address this matter. Even if it's something they don't want to do going forward, we just plead with them to clear the cars that are already at the port. Because people took loans to be able to buy these cars. They budgeted that they will not pay certain fees. So situations like this can be very depressing for them. People are calling me all the time, morning, evening, nights. They're having sleepless nights. So, I mean, that's something that I hope that the current administration will look at critically.
Is it something, though, I'm curious, before I go to, is it something, though, that should have been completed in the last quarter of last year? You do realize in the first 2 months of this administration, and some of these matters, in fact, I do know for a fact that there are some things that will be done eventually, which for now, owing to what the NDC has said about the state of the economy and other things, they are working at looking at the full picture before going ahead with. And this dovetails to it eventually, the buck stops with government, right?
Exactly.
So is it not a time game? Is it not something it's always done, isn't it?
So it's not something that's always done. It's something that we enjoyed under ex-President Kufuor, but during the first...
Is it only under ex-President Kufuor?
Oh, let me land, Ben.
You enjoyed it.
Under under ex-President Kufuor, during ex-President Mahama's time, it was unceremoniously cancelled, and it was something that the immediate past MPP government was working to bring back. In fact, it was one of our manifesto promises to regularize it so that it's not only a matter of conditions of service. That's, you know, sort of, as is happening now.
So you were working to bring it back as you campaign for 2024.
Exactly. So that's why, yes, exactly. So that's why we started with that. And even the first week in January, before the handing over, 2nd or 5th, we were able to clear some vehicles. So it's something that's ongoing. That's, I mean, by what I'm hearing from the leadership of GMA and everything, it's down to a simple signature. So no, on that question, I do not believe that.
It's down to a simple signature.
Yes.
That's an interesting.
I mean, yeah, you just have to sign the car waiver. Then we can take it to the ports to show that Ministry of Finance has waived these taxes so we can clear the car. So I don't see what the hurdles could be, considering that in the first week of January we were able to clear some vehicles. And it's the time factor, demurrage.
Well, demurrage, right.
Yeah.
We'll leave that to the ministry, and if there's any justification eventually, I'm sure they'll come out. There are those who also say that if doctors are enjoying this, how about this group and that group and that group? I've heard those conversations.
Well, that's a conversation for later.
Just something quickly, so I bring in Osei Kofi. You say your lights have been going out nowadays, right? Last year, were your lights going out?
Well, it was happening maybe once in 10 days. Now it's every day. It's not something I wanted to bring up, but you asked me how I was faring. And for me, electricity is one of those things. When it's hot, my whole life, I mean, I become...
So we are in this together.
I become a different person. So, yeah. I mean, the frequency is just too much. And this is like in Ajengano. Usually, it takes some time for the tide of doomsday to reach us. But this time, I don't know, they seem to have started with us. So we'll plead with them, please.
Right. Osekofi, any thoughts?
Yes.
I mean, I'll ask about Wasitinemu as well, and then if I believe you added your take.
Yes,
you added your take.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so Wasitinemu, and then you add your 1 minute of reflections, and then we go.
You did predict that it was going to take a political twist. I mean, we all know that this government has barely been in office for about 2 months, and fact. The lights were going off before the elections, and they are still going off. That we all lived to tell. And then, as far as I'm concerned, if there's going to be any tax waivers and all that, it has to be in the budget. And the budget is yet to be read.
No, so there was a budget for last year.
Well, the point is that I'm not sure this government came in and decided that there was a tax waiver for doctors and all that, and I'm cancelling it, you know. So let's see what the other budget
mentions that the Bawumia campaign was thinking of bringing it on board if they had won.
But
so
the point is that if the Bawumia campaign
technically is in existence,
exactly.
Technically,
no, it's in our conditions of service that has been signed. So this is not a matter.
No, but
the previous.
But like you also mentioned.
So if it exists, when did it get cancelled?
Did I say it was cancelled?
No, but the point is you are not enjoying it now.
Vehicles have been locked up. We are just asking for you to sign the paper so that the vehicles are cleared. It is in our conditions of service. So even if we want to talk about it...
So you think it's deliberate?
I'm not saying this. I cannot presume to know the mind of the finance minister. But
let's all wait until the budget is read. Because I'm sure...
But just on the point Osekofi was making, you did mention that it was cancelled under the Mahama administration.
Yes, the first Mahama.
I think that's what he was referencing. So it was cancelled then.
Yes.
Then.
And the MPP was trying to bring it back, like you said.
In their campaign promise.
Even in the NDC's manifesto is theirs. I'll pardon you.
So let's all wait for the budget to be read. Let's all wait for the budget to be read.
No, you can imagine a young doctor who has gone to take a loan for a car. He has bought the car. Now the car is sitting at the port for almost 2 months now. We are asking you to put yourself
I'm not trying to...
So this matter is not even political.
An antagonist of doctors. But the point is that you are not the only civil service. I mean, we've got teachers as well. We've got military men and all that, okay? So, I mean, you're a doctor and you're advocating for where you belong, okay? But the point is that let's not really be on the neck of government because of this thing, all right? But I think that let's wait until the budget is read and let's see what the NDC government has to offer. Until then, I mean, let's
but let's just be fair here. She has every right. She has every right. I mean,
of course, that's what I'm saying.
Area of interest.
That's what I'm saying. That from where she's coming from, of course, if maybe a military man was here, he probably might also be advocating for the same thing. So I don't have any qualms.
But at the same time, I agree with both of you on what you're saying. She has an interest.
Of course.
You don't have to.
Exactly.
You brought it into the country. We all know what demerge does in terms of cost.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're also not the only civil servant.
Exactly.
I've always said that when this conversation has come up, some people feel hard done by.
I'm telling you.
Because they feel, look, even what you doctors get, they don't get a fraction of it in terms of benefit. However, I do agree that compared to other jurisdictions, we could do much more for our healthcare providers. It's not. I'm not against.
And Benji, let me support you. Let me support you.
There are pros and cons of all.
Who lectures the doctor to become a doctor?
Right. A doctor, actually. In medical school, we are taught by adults.
But the point is that at the end of the day, maybe it fall under a category of lectures, okay? Some sort of teachers. Somebody taught you something, okay, from the primary level all the way to the junior high school level and the high school level and all that. See, that's why I don't want to bring the conversation up, because if you decide to go for this, the teachers might also do that. Other civil service might also do that.
And in the past, there have been actually such,
agitations and all that.
Agitations where, and I feel, to be fair, that teachers are probably one of the most undervalued.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
I have taught before.
I have also taught before.
But the point is that
why did he leave?
People in that sector.
Why did he leave?
What did I?
Why did you leave?
Oh no, it was doing other things. I wasn't doing that alone.
I left because
I have lectured
and there was no motivation at all. Okay. I also taught before.
So
what I'm saying is that teachers who teaches the doctors and the nurses and the policemen and the military men and all, they don't even have these waivers. And it's unfair.
And I do agree to a certain extent, as we move on, that we should also give government some room to operate. I see a lot of things in respect of the economy and trying to streamline a few things. I agree with you and your
and it was and I was coming
there. Kofi and his concerns, but I also feel I think time always. I do understand the marriage bit, but let's face it as well.
Sensitive matter.
Let's face
How
it
is the time sensitive?
Going into an election.
It's not rotting away.
No, but if we don't get the car waiver,
the budget is going to be read.
More charges have been incurred.
And you are sounding
and the person who took a loan to buy the car is now going to have to take another loan
by next week or something.
I mean, come on.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
seriously.
But
so I didn't even exhaust it. I didn't exhaust it.
Okay.
You asked me, sitting.
All right.
The lights are going off. Inflation is still high, but then I see a beacon of hope. Okay, yes, I watch you every day. And of course, I watch you read the newspapers and all that. And through the news articles, I see that this government is poised to do something different from what was being done. Now that I have this opportunity, let me also break this news. The Convention People's Party has headed to the Supreme Court. Our mission is simple. We believe that it is time we rename our international airports. The man who took gun and overthrew the first Republican Constitution, the decision of the people, has been honored to the extent that our international airport, the main entrance and the exit point into this country, has been named after him. If care is not taken, and we are doing this because we think that the 2024 elections has justified that our democracy has been consolidated. If we don't take care and still allow this to fester, we might not like what lies ahead. We saw when the Burkinabe military leader came into this country, the cheers and the applause and all that. And of course, we were surrounded by Burkina Faso, which has a coup d'etat leader, Niger, Mali, and the Saharians. So what we're saying is that let's remove the name of Kotoka and every military man who did not become a head of state through a democratic means, so that it will inform and serve as a deterrent to any military man who is thinking that things are not going the way he and his fellow colleagues are feeling, and that they want to take the barrel out of the gun. So the CPP is in court. And as we go on, we'll feed you with more information as on when we appear before.
Are you pushing for, because I saw something, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
No, we are not really.
Because
pushing.
I saw something on social media.
That is other people suggesting that can be reading. But we, the CPP, are not really for, renaming the whole thing after Nkrumah.
But growing up, at least to the extent that I schooled in Ghana, when I did, I always found it curious that Kotoka International Airport had the name it did. Well, I always found it a bit curious. There have been those who have also justified.
There's so much justification for that.
It's a long story if we get into that.
Let me satisfy your curiosity.
Found it curious.
The president at that time, when you and I were growing up, loved Kotoka, held him in high esteem, and even, said that he was his hero.
Let's show. I don't want it to become another.
Because I will never at any point in time say that just a justification that one picks up a gun and say that I am wiser than 32 million people who went to the polls and voted.
Sorry, but the justification for declaring yourself president for life, really?
Who declared himself for life?
Let's move on with this.
Doc, you get your facts right. Nobody declared himself for life. You see, the proposal
was it not the
in Parliament? Exactly. You see, and that Parliament.
It was the Parliament that did that. But Osekofi, to be fair,
who was controlling the Parliament?
Aram Ponsan, who was from the UP, was there.
Who banned the formation of other political parties? Made the country a one-party.
Supposed to be
CPP find something better.
Who represent you and I? So if people go and say
right.
that we think that is the way forward, how do you blame Kwame Nkrumah for that?
All right.
Kwame Nkrumah never wanted to be a president for life.
Thank you.
That's a record.
I'm just curious. Do you think it would be fitting if we named it Dr. Kwame Nkrumah International?
What's wrong with Kotoka International?
Everything's wrong.
No,
with
I'm asking you, if it were changed, would it be bad?
No, I don't see the points in changing it. I mean,
You love Kotoka.
if it's not broken, don't fix
You love
it.
Kotoka.
All right.
Oh, come
The
on.
Daily
If you want
Graphic
to
this morning.
whitewash
Ladies
our...
and gentlemen.
It's broken.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's broken.
Come here. Ajabro.
Abba.
So, government determined to win Galamsey war. That's according to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakufibua. Port charges to be reduced, taxes, duties, levies targeted. Maybe if you just waited, maybe this might kick in and the doctors might benefit. AGI ready to partner government on 24-hour economy. Will prioritize low-cost housing for workers, John Bauer says so. On the back page, government committed to addressing power deficit. That's according to the minister. This should also excite you. And First Bank, Ghana supports young soldiers accommodation project. So I'll start with the issue of a power deficit. Government is keen about addressing the shortfall in power supply caused by the ongoing maintenance activities on the West African gas pipeline. As an interim measure, so this has been mentioned, quite a number, why these supply challenges are happening, because there is the maintenance WAPCO that is going on. As an interim measure, the government procured the alternative fuels, that is liquid oils, to power the thermal plants within the period that gas would not be available, which was being used to produce just enough power to meet the demand with no reserve margin, putting a huge strain on the supply of power. The Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Janapo, speaking to journalists in Tema, so it goes on and on about what he made mention of. And I also heard from the grapevine that some of what was procured was not immediately available. It was coming in tranches or batches, so which would mean that intermittently there would be a few of these adjustments. We all want power to be on, bottom line, and that's it. First Bank Ghana supports young soldiers accommodation project. It has donated 50,000 to support the Ghana Armed Forces Quick Impact Project, an initiative spearheaded by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Bismarck Kwesi Onwana. Then maybe I'll just do another story. You dilate on them before I continue. Port charges to be reduced. The government will review taxes, duties and levies at the local ports to create a favorable business environment and make the country's ports an attractive destination that will draw in businesses from across the West African sub-region. The Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikbe, who disclosed this, said this was part of the government's effort to work with relevant stakeholders in the shipping industry to reduce the rising cost of doing business at the country's seaports. Consequently, he said the government would review laws governing the country's shipping industry to reduce the daunting bureaucracies associated with doing business at the ports. I'll start with you this time, Osei Kofi.
Yes, Benji, what you just read is the reason why I see a beacon of hope. Okay, there's a fighting spirit by this government to right certain things that were done wrong in the previous administration. The issue of Galamsey. Yesterday, one of the papers carried that 44 of our forests, okay, are in the hands of illegal armed men. It's scary, isn't it?
Right, it is.
That
about
our forest reserve.
500
Yes.
pitch.
And imagine that these forests, which have been given to us by God, okay, and it's in the custody of the state, is being manned by people who are heavily armed. So I'm thinking that, okay, so before these people came in there, my grandfather or my grandmother was a cocoa farmer. What it means is that the person cannot go or have access to the cocoa farms anymore because these people are armed and they can kill and then, maim whoever tried to enter into that forest reserve. And then out of the 44, 9 of them is not in the custody of the state. I don't understand. Because what it means is that the land is in Ghana, but it is not in the custody of the state. How do we justify this? And all these things have come about because certain people think they have muzzles, they have guns. And so they can enter into our forest reserves and then decide to do illegal mining.
Right.
And that has festered for a long time. And the painful part of it is that so many monies were wasted to combat this illegal mining. And it never worked. For 8 years, National security couldn't combat it. The Ghana Police Service could not do anything about it. Of course, the Ghana Armed Forces could not do anything about it.
Right.
And so the war to win Galamsey, okay, is a must. It's non-negotiable at all. Because if the last 3 dies, the last man die.
All right.
So I'm thinking that this is a good call. We are urging them on, and they should be brutes. I am not for the burning of those excavators, but I'm also very skeptical.
The president has said seize them, use them as evidence.
But I'm skeptical about it.
And maybe
I'm skeptical about it.
Right.
And the reason is because these excavators were once upon a time confiscated in this country,
right,
under the care of Professor Bob Watson.
Right.
What happened to them? They flew away. They vanished. Okay, so I really...
Is it possible for things to be done differently so that this time...
That's why I'm saying that there's a beacon of hope, okay?
Right.
But they should pick some lessons, okay,
right,
from the previous administrations and make sure that this time the Ghanaian can trust them.
All right, for the sake of time,
yes,
is there any other thing?
Yes, of course.
The port charges?
The port charges, I'm also very happy about it. Okay. I'm sure Doc very soon will have access to her cars. And this time, because the charges will be dropped and all that. Okay. And of course, I am also looking at the port charges dropping down inflation. Very, very important. Okay? Especially the basic necessities of life. When you go to the market to buy, simple items, you realize that they are very expensive. Right. So dropping those charges at the port, I think, are very, very important. Then at the back of it, you talked about John Jinapor and then the attempt to, what do you call it? The WAPCO, what do you call it? I don't know if you can remind me.
So
no,
there's
the maintenance
that is going on.
You see, this is
so
what...
The caption is government committed to addressing power deficit.
Yes. Now, what has come about this power deficit is because supposedly WAPCO is trying to undertake maintenance. You see, our means of producing power, it is too mechanical.
And you have to be a bit brief on that.
Benji. Okay, so I think that going forward, we should look at renewable energy. Okay, if it was solar, if it was wind turbines and all that, would we have this excuse that there's going to be maintenance and because of that, we need to rationalize power and all that? So going forward, John Jinapor, we know you're a young man, you seem to be on top of issues and you know where you're going. Going forward, let's think about renewable energy so that we don't have these excuses about shutting down and then cleaning up and then, the engines and all those things. So basically, because of time, that's where I'll wrap up for now.
All right. Let me also welcome aboard the conversation Evans Amankwa. He's
my own brother.
He's also a member of the communications team of the NDC. Evans, good morning. You're looking very colorful.
Thank you.
On the show, we give just a little time for reflection. I'll just give you some 30 seconds. Is there anything on your mind quickly, and then we'll continue with the papers.
Oh, let me take the opportunity to say a very big good morning to your viewers, cherished viewers, and that of NDC Regional Executive Committee members in Ashanti region, and that of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Very big good morning to them all. And I would also want to take this opportunity to remind our appointees that Ghanaians has given us the opportunity to serve them. We need to serve them with goodwill and with respect, with humility, so that we'll be able to deliver the mandate that Ghanaians has given to NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for those succinct comments. There's also government determined to win Galamsey war. That's according to the minister. Will prioritize low-cost housing for workers. That's according to John Bauer. And AGI ready to partner government on 24-hour economy. But just on the bit about Galamsey, I know you would have some reactions to the stories we've done. So I'll take your reactions and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I think with the matter of Galamsey, if we were to all remove the hypocrisy and how we always want to taint it, when we were in government, I always maintained that the political stance we were taking was only to the detriment of the people of Ghana. And now that they are in government, of course, we wish them well to be able to combat the menace, but we're also very mindful of everything they said and did when they were in opposition. We're also very mindful of key members of their party that have recently been fingered, especially with the matter of mining in forest reserves to the point that even their local traditional councils seem to have banished them. There's nothing we've heard from the NDC leadership on this matter. There's nothing we've heard from the presidency on this matter. So it's a little difficult.
You're referencing the Our Win
Exactly.
situation.
The MP for Our Win and everything that's been going on there. It's almost a little hypocritical that nothing has been said about that. I don't know if he's been called, but basically the people of Ghana have not heard anything to give us confidence that the NDC indeed has the goodwill to go after their own people who are flouting the law. Because I even remember that during the campaign, His Excellency John Mahama did say that none of his appointees should be involved in mining, full stop. So if someone is involved in mining and it doesn't even end there, he has taken over the forest reserve with tax as it's were. I mean, I think it's something that should be discussed properly at the national level, and we expect to hear from them. What are they doing about that? Has the MP been sanctioned? I mean, is he going to respond to these allegations? At this point, I think there's even more than enough evidence for us to drop the allegedly tagged, because I don't think the traditional leaders of that area will come up, make press conferences and do all of this if they weren't cocksure of what was happening. So I think that's a situation that should be brought to the attention of the government, and we expect to hear from them on that. With the issue of the port charges...
Just a quick bit before you get to the port charges. I agree with you. I'll come to you, Evans. I agree with you on what you said. Regardless of which government is in power, it matters not whose ox is God. We must deal with this menace because it's an existential threat. Whether it's MPP, NDC, Galamsey is Galamsey, it's illegal. We must deal with it. But since you talk about these issues, I'd also like to find out, what do you think about the fact that in the last 6 days of President Akufo-Addo, his government granted 318 mining-related licenses?
Okay.
Within 6 days.
So this issue of mining licenses is something that has been greatly discussed. When we were in government, our approach was to regularize the sector, and so that we bring a lot more people into the regulatory framework so that we can adequately monitor them. So in the process of licensing, I'm sure you've spoken to the former Minister for Lands, Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor, on the matter. It's not something he did lightly. There was a lot of due diligence that went into granting of those licenses. And it's always...
Do you realize this quantum within 6 days?
Ben,
even if you look at the trajectory of licenses that were granted,
the number of people...
in the period of the MP,
the number
over
of,
1,000.
You know,
and you look at the quantum within the last 6 days.
It doesn't mean that those people applied for the lines.
Very curious.
It doesn't mean that those people applied for the licenses in those 6 days and received the licenses in those 6 days.
No, it doesn't.
It takes a very
but it also
long
means
period.
Those could have segued into a different period. They could have been left, but for some reason they were granted right before the 7th of January.
Do you agree with me that the people doing Galamsey, they don't wait for a license? They actually do not require the license to go and do what they need to do. So if we are making efforts to regularize the sector and to get people licensed so that we can monitor them, I don't see how that also became an issue during the campaign. Because the people that are mining in the forest reserves, mining in the water bodies, doing indiscriminate mining, they don't wait for you to give them a license.
But you do know that there are some with legitimate, and that's the other side of the problem. I thank my director for, there are some people who have licenses to do the right thing, and they are still doing what is illegal. In addition to it, even there are some small-scale miners who are legitimate, who are also doing certain things they shouldn't do. So it's not just a problem of the illegality in the sense of those who don't have license.
Yes, so I mean, I don't know what you prefer to do. Put a halt on all licenses so that everybody does the things the wrong way, or try to regularize and give us as many as them that are ready to fall into the legal framework a license. Even for this government, I'm not going to be one of those people that will accuse them of granting licenses just because they accused us of granting licenses. Personally...
That's because you are guilty.
Please let me finish. Personally, you can go and talk to the MP for Our Win. All your commentary this morning is confusing me as to who you are actually representing here.
I'm representing CPP.
Anyway, let me continue before I lose my train of thought. Personally, growing up in Kumasi and actually having some experience in passing by these Galamsey areas. The situation on the ground is sometimes quite different. We have people in Accra, sometimes we are very removed from what actually happens in these Galamsey areas. It's a very serious matter. I like to say that it is like our cocaine problem in Ghana. The way Colombia has the drug trade, we have the Galamsey menace. People are digging under their beds and things. It requires...
Otumfuo has said that even his concessions have been...
Yeah, people will encroach. See, you can have your concession, someone will just encroach. You can finish with your concession, do the regrassing or the reforestation that is required. Right. You will go and come, someone has started into your concession mining. And do you think these people were granted licenses to come into your concession? So another issue that happens there is disputes. People are always fighting over boundaries of concessions and whatnot. So I think the approach here should be an overarching approach to be able to sanitize the system and regularize the people, because you cannot stop them from mining.
All right. I noticed you wanted to talk about, is it the four charges? We can skip it?
Yeah,
all right.
To save time.
Okay. So let me come to Mr. Amankwa now.
Okay, so...
A lot has been said. What are your thoughts on these matters?
You see, when it comes to Galamsey, sometimes I get it a bit emotional when MPP people are trying to justify their actions and inactions. But let me talk about the issue of the Awin MP, because I am a lawyer in that matter. Okay. And seriously...
So, counsel, you would have to... I'm sure you are fully aware of the lines you would have to walk so that you don't...
Yes.
You don't incur the wrath of the court.
No, first
but
of
you go ahead.
First of all, the Awin MP, Honorable Oscar Labi, is not the one doing mining in the forestry reserve. Not at all. Because you see, you made a press conference in relation to the MP that you've invited the MP, he did not come. His PA came, made some assertions, and you misrepresented the person. Now the person goes on air to clarify the issue. You are saying that the person has caused a lot of dissatisfaction for the Nanum, and for that matter, you've banished the person in that community. And you get people to talk about the fact that the MP is the person who is doing the illegal mining over there. Please look at the number of days that NDC has taken power, or NDC has been in office. Do you think that if you look at the extent of damage that has been caused in that forest, would that MP within that short time be able to cause that damage in that forest? It's something that has been done.
Is it also not a matter we have to get into if damage has been caused and if someone has come and likely, I'm not saying he is adding on to the damage, is that not something we ought to interrogate?
That is, you see, that is why I'm...
And I said if.
Yeah, that is why I'm trying to say that the MP has not done any mining in that forest. He's not part of it. So that is why we are inviting the national security and the security apparatus to arrest those people in that forest. Because the MP has not done anything over there.
So why did Nananum say what they did?
Because the Nananum, most of them are involved in that Galamsey. So when there was change of power, the MP took to himself and decided that they have to stop the Galamsey in that forest. And that is why they overturned and made a press conference in that direction.
So this is a simple matter of interest.
Exactly.
That's what you are saying.
Total interest. That is why some people are in court.
That's interesting.
Yes, some people are in court in relation to us.
Okay.
You see?
All right.
So, and again, you see, when it comes to Galamsey, please, let's be realistic. You see, we're talking about granting mining licenses, 318 mining licenses within 6 days. You are legitimizing somebody illegality because the person is already doing Galamsey and you are giving the person license to go ahead and do that Galamsey. And if you are able to grant licenses for 318 licenses to people, I mean, what kind of irresponsible act is that? Because if indeed you are showing good faith in relation to the granting of that licenses, you wouldn't have done that within that period, within 6 days. So this is something that we need to condemn in all uncertain terms. For the fact that we are talking about Galamsey, we are talking about illegal mining. People who are saying, you see, the people who commit the most offenses in relation to Galamsey are the people who claim to have licenses. They are the people who are causing the havoc and the damage to our water bodies and our forests. Right. That is the people who have been doing that, because they go there, they go to the communities with these licenses and have the impudence and the audacity to create that chaos by causing damages to the forest and the water bodies. And when you talk about Galamsey issues in this country, MPP and their leadership cannot deny the fact that they have been involved. There are several issues and instances that they themselves have been so much involved and delved into those Galamsey issues. So if we are fighting Galamsey, there's supposed to be a holistic approach to fight those Galamsey, and you should not take the unfortunate incident of some chiefs who are into Galamsey in our own constituency, trying to put the MP into a situation where the public will see that the MP is the person who is throwing this Galamsey.
All right, thank you. Thank you for those thoughts. I'll just wrap with some headlines and that's it. MP calls for police reinforcement to combat menace. The menace here is armed robbery in his constituency, Atebubu Amante. I'm talking about the NDC's Member of Parliament, Sanja Nanja, who was called on the IGP to swiftly beef up the police personnel in the area. EU leaders congratulate CDU and Friedrich Merz. First offers of congratulation are trickling in for the German center-right. That's monumental in Germany. 2 on trial. You might find this interesting. 2 on trial for attempt to harm Zambia's president through witchcraft. And for those of us who are students of law, you know, you can't prove spirituality in court, so sometimes it becomes problematic. And this one, though, nothing to laugh about. 2 stories. Sudan's army makes key advances after RSF signs political charter, and 7,000 killed this year in Congo conflict. And that issue becoming really, really bad. Let me come to you, Osei Kofi, for if you have any quick thoughts, and then we'll start with your papers.
Okay, so first of all, let me go to the Congo. It is sad that after all these years and the legacy of Patrice Lumumba and others, the Congo is embattled in this. I don't know whether it's a civil war or it's a genocide. You know, it's unacceptable. And hands have been pointing at the, what do you call it?
Rwanda.
Rwandan president. That's Kigali. Paul Kagame. And I think that African Union should do something about it. This was the reason why Kwame Nkrumah wanted a united Africa, so that, you know, we can resolve some of these things internally. Because sometimes you realize that the people who weaponize these rebels and these soldiers and all that are foreigners, okay, who are warlords, and then they benefit from this loot and all that. So I think that African Union and leadership, I mean, I'm addressing this to President Mahama, should, you know, take it and champion the whole thing, because it was Ghana who decided that Africa must unite. And I think that now that he is in power, he can champion that. Now, let me go to Sana Niger calling for police reinforcement to combat armed robbery. You know, we seem to have accepted that impunity is all right. Okay, look at the issue of Galamsey that we were talking about. You know, it's now becoming political. It was the MPP and MPs, the NDC people and all that. But the point is that at a point in time, there was a committee set up by a president. And then the leader of the committee wrote a report. We've all read the report. It was damning. And that report pointed fingers at most of the members of the government in power. Okay? Now, let me go to this armed robbery thing. The Ghana Police Service are supposed to provide internal security. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we have the police posts in most parts of the country, including Atebu Amenten.
Right.
So, is the police inefficient? Is that what is happening? Are they outnumbered by the armed robbers? I want to understand. And this is where I appeal to the IGP. Visibility is not enough. When we were growing up, policing had much to do with picking intelligence. People in plain clothes, CID people, and you shiver when they decide to make arrests, because by then they have intel from top to down as to who is involved with what and who has to be arrested.
I don't think that has stopped, has it?
It has.
The level.
It has. That is why the Galamsey is going on. It has. It has. That is why this armed robbery is going on. Imagine that we decide to do more of intel policing, okay? And people decide that, okay, they will infiltrate the Galamsey gangs, okay? And they know who is bringing the excavator, who is the sponsor, who's what, and they decide to effect arrest. You'll be surprised the kind of arrest that will be done.
I think we get the thrust of
Yes. So what I'm saying is that the police should give us assurance, okay, that when it comes to security, they're up to the task, and that we can sleep in peace. If this thing festers, then people decide to kind of, decide to protect themselves, and it won't go well.
Let's briefly look at the papers. Please, let's be very brief, succinct, straight to the point.
No problem. So
look at the headlines first,
yes.
and then you quickly get into 1 or 2 stories maximum. So let's start with you.
I'll do one here. So minority queries Mahama persecution of opponents.
So that's the Daybreak newspaper.
Yeah, Daybreak newspaper. And then the minority caucus in parliament has accused the Mahama government of misusing the state institution to persecute and intimidate members of the previous government and the MPP. And they call it a witch hunt. You see, this is what I have to say about this. If you are a witch, note that if you're a nuisance to society, then definitely you'll be hunted. That one has to be agreed.
But we have to be careful with these terminologies, because the context of it, we have the anti-witchcraft bill.
No, I'm not talking about witchcraft in that. Okay, so in context.
I understand what you mean.
In context.
But for those who watch
so
it,
fine.
Because there are people who have
in context.
Yes,
of course, the Gambara witchcraft campaign and all that. So in context, what we are saying is that if you decide to loot this country, if you were given a job to do and you haphazardly and shabbily did it and took salary for it, and it is a day to account for it, definitely you can't hide behind the fact that because you are opposition political party, you are being hunted. That one will not be accepted. Okay. In the same vein, I'm also not happy with the way the National Investigation Bureau, NIB, is being used to, I want to use a word, okay? I don't know if you are kidnap people. All right? Yes.
That's a strong word.
But that's what it is, okay? For example, the issue of Professor Ame Akinfui.
Yeah.
You understand? Look at how he was picked up. His lawyer did not know his whereabouts. His family did not know his whereabouts. But what is even the modus operandi of the NIB? They are supposed to do investigation.
Right.
And find facts, evidence, and witness, and then submit it to the Ghana Police Service to effect arrest. So on what basis do we pull up a Land Cruiser and then all of a sudden you are gone? Now it's become very scary. So I don't even know, next time you buy Wachi from the Wachi joint and all of a sudden and I will pull over.
They can invite you over.
And that is where I was coming to. Okay? So if the NIB feels that somebody has misappropriated some funds or has conducted him or herself, the best thing they do is that they write to you formally, inviting you for a conversation. Okay. And when you are going, you pick up your lawyer, like I have, my own brother, Evans Amakwai here, and then he escorts me to the NIB. Okay. And then they ask me whatever question they have. And then I'm in consultation with my counsel, okay, I give them the answers that I have. Of course, now that, look at how they adopted him, okay? I mean, how they arrested him. If they were looking for a document, did Prof have that document with him at the time he was being taken? And so what was the point? Okay, so in as much as I believe that people must be held accountable for whatever position they were given and then expenditure and all that, I think that the NIB is becoming very funny in its
right. Thank you for those
and
thoughts.
So we look at it.
Evans, any quick thoughts on that before we look at one paper from you?
You see, when it comes to my brother Osekufi, sometimes it's thoughts on issues. Are you saying that the NIB does not have the powers to invite somebody?
I don't think he said that.
I didn't say that.
I'm coming. And when interrogations are ongoing and things they are not done, don't they have the right to put you in custody till they finish their investigations? But there's a timeline on the number of hours that they have.
Mr. Amankwa, you're a lawyer. You're fully aware of the fact that per the law. And you see,
I
I'm not saying that I'm always cautious about these. I'm not saying the NIB is in the wrong in terms of wanting information or thinking that per its investigation someone has done something wrong and maybe ought to be invited. But we also have to get to the point where certain processes are followed without creating unnecessary fear and panic.
Thank you.
People are family people.
Yes.
You get it? Look at the Ken Ofori-Atta instance, for example. If something wrong has been done, and I'm not saying he's whistle clean, but if something wrong has been done, though that was not the NIB, that was the OSP, there are mechanisms to follow rather than, some creation of fear and panic and all of that. If you want to invite the person, there are processes. And the person comes with his or her.
But since why don't we stick to the process?
I'm boxing both of them together.
My brother, I don't get it. You see, when issues that deals with criminality, if you are invited for criminal, it is impersonal. It's not about your lawyer. That is what I have been saying. When Ken Ofori-Atta was instructing that you have to talk to my lawyers. It is about criminality. When it is about criminal issues, it's not your lawyer. It is impersonal. It is about you. And you have to answer. It is after you have been invited and you are there.
Those criminal issues, even for murder, you still have a right to counsel, don't you?
You have right to a counsel. But that does not mean that you instruct that you have to deal with my lawyer. When your attention is what is needed.
Okay, so that's the angle.
Exactly. So that is what we all need to.
You're satisfied with how the NIB invited Professor Yao?
No, let me be sincere and honest with you. I've been a person who have been advocating for the issue of politics of equalization to be abolished. That during somebody's time,
I do.
Yeah, I mean, we need to move forward. Yeah. So once we all agree that the country needs to move forward, we need to be magnanimous about the things that we do so that we won't set bad precedent about the things that people did and we spoke against them. So we need to do our things differently because we are resetting Ghana. And by resetting Ghana, it means that Ghana needed to be reset in such a way that people will appreciate the conduct of state institutions. And that is what I believe in. Now, let me take a funny story here about MPP.
That's the Hawk newspaper, right?
Yes, Hawk newspaper. MPP big guns blame for Ashanti vote disaster. They said Akufo-Addo
Have you read the story?
Yes, I have read the story.
Can you give us just a little bit of what the story says?
Is that a report?
It's a report.
Yes. I just want for the sake of our...
No, all that they are saying is that MPP lost the election, especially their votes in Ashanti region reduced because of certain things and the kind of behavior that was exhibited by some of their leaders. They said Akufo-Addo was arrogant, Ken's explosive rant.
So when he says Ken, don't mistake me for Ken Ofori-Atta, that's
Kennedy Paul.
Right.
Kennedy Paul's explosive rant, Untumi's good stance and Napos Nkrumah Gafi.
That was a very big gaff.
You see, let me be sincere and honest with you, my brother. All these things they are saying contributed to largely maybe the whole Ghana. But when it comes to Ashanti region, we are from Ashanti region and we were in Ashanti region. We know what we did in Ashanti region. We realized that in Ashanti region, the numbers that were coming for MPP in various elections were not normal. And for that matter, we need to be very vigilant. So it was NDC's and we in Ashanti region's vigilance that culminated to that disaster they are talking about. It's not about their arrogance and anything. In any elections, anybody who is contesting an election needs to be very vigilant. And that is what NDC did in Ashanti region.
I disagree with you on that.
No, you can disagree with me. That is your opinion. Yes. Because we were vigilant. Let me tell you something. We were able to intercede on some ballot papers that were going to be used. We got those ballot papers.
Notice of poll that you showed to us on TV.
I don't think I need to listen to what they're saying.
So I want to believe you've landed.
No, I've not landed. What I'm trying to say is that there were a lot of things that MPP planned in doing in Ashanti region. But for the fact of our vigilance, they could have executed.
And you have evidence to that effect?
Of course. Of course.
Which
we intercepted, yes, we intercepted over 500,000 ballot papers.
Oh, that one. But,
yes.
But I thought the Electoral Commission had given explanations on the use of that.
What kind of explanation was that?
Oh,
What kind of explanation was that? That Jane Mensa giving explanation about interception of 500,000 ballot papers?
That for the first time, Ghanaians were not happy with the conduct of the MPP.
No.
And it was nationwide associate. And Ashanti region.
What I'm trying to say.
Because if you do this,
no.
You have had elections since 1982.
Listen. Please, can I finish?
Right.
What you see? When I started.
30 seconds.
No.
Let's do this.
When I started this whole thing, I told everybody that Ghanaians were dissatisfied with this whole attitude.
So it's just an add-on to.
But Ashanti region, there was an extra vigilance that came on the part of NDC.
Okay.
To the fact
Without
that
which you wouldn't have got the.
Exactly.
Right.
Because so many people. Let me tell you something.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Let me land here. So many prominent people, Marietta Brew, Amy Fahad Castle, so many prominent people had to stop voting in their various polling stations and come to Ashanti region to mine polling.
It has been done before.
Right.
In 2020,
Thank you.
did it happen?
No, it did not.
I was there. I am there with you in the Ashanti region.
No, why?
Okay?
No, why?
You came there, you set up a camp,
No,
you campaign, you
Ashanti region in.
You did nothing different from what you've been doing over the years.
No. Osekofi, you are getting it wrong. In 2020, there was no such thing.
See,
and again, in 2020,
I'm drawing attention to this is that I don't want you to be complacent. Okay,
it's not complacent.
You've got fortunes in Ashanti region in the last elections. Don't say because our vigilance and following.
Osekofi
Osekofi,
Please hold for me. Let's do this. I am the moderator here.
Yes.
Allow me to moderate.
Headmaster, yes.
No, it's not headmaster.
Headmaster. You can call me senior housemaster.
No. We'll call you my lord. We'll call you my lord.
Don't lord me. Doc, your quick thoughts. If you have any reflections before we go to the overseer.
I think with all these issues, I'm not even going to. I don't add more weight to it by adding my voice, because I think most people are aware of what happened. I was actually on the grounds with their observers as well. I don't think they did anything out of this world. We were there from start to finish. You go and put ballot boxes, papers in a room, and you call the media to go with you to look at it. Before you get there, you know there are 500,000. I mean, we are not children. Let me go straight to
but hold there. So are you alleging? Are you suggesting?
I'm alleging
that the NDC.
Yes, because we had no such plan. So you think we are that incompetent?
Doc, and yet, please, gentlemen, hold for me. And yet, the Electoral Commission came through with the responses it did on that matter. It was the NDC that went and supposedly.
I was in
Kumasi.
I was in Kumasi.
I think that's the Joseph Yamin
matter. I was in Kumasi for the election. We were so focused on other things, and I can tell you for a fact that 500,000, it was a sham orchestrated by only they know who it is.
Okay.
We had no part in that, and you think we are that incompetent that if we are printing ballot papers, Joseph Yamin will know where it is in Kumasi. Please, let me continue.
But is that to suggest that
the people that you hold?
No, listen, that was not even part of it. And if we wanted to do it, we'll keep it in a house there, and you will come with the media before you enter. You know how many ballot papers are there? Wow. Let me just continue. Right. The observer.
But what if your coach pants down?
So credibility and fairness. Overseer, sorry. The conversation is too much. President Mahama to appoint NDC regional organizers as presidential staffers. Okay, more jobs for the boys. Lands Minister declares war on mining in forest and water bodies. Stop press. NIB to invite Fremo Opari's children, Nana Osei Opari and Nanaya Sewa Opari, for questioning on undocumented mining concessions. Finance Minister denies authorizing payments to Kennedy Japan. 1.7 billion needed to complete Agenda 111 hospitals, President John Mahama. That's something that I'm very interested in, because my immediate past role was the spokesperson on health for the MPP. So I am very vested in issues of health, because I took my job very, very seriously. President John Mahama has revealed that only one hospital under Agenda 111 has been completed with an estimated 1.7 billion required to finalize the remaining facilities. I think, was it on 5th December or so, the former president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, commissioned 3 hospitals, one in Trede, one in Ofuikom, and one in Ahanta West. That's well documented. The press was there. He went inside these facilities. I have pictures here of theatre.
You also went to Sewa, that one, Sewa Hospital.
We are not talking, we are talking about Agenda 111. Okay. So if you want, we can expand the conversation.
We've expanded it.
Don't worry.
So it helps with that.
Yes, so we have pictures of the setup, everything that happened in there. So I think this attempt of trying to reduce the bar before you take over is something that should not be countenanced. There's a lot happening in the health sector. I've already noted a few this morning. There's numerous outbreaks, cholera here, meningitis there. We need these hospitals completed. And for somebody that's the UGMC that the NDC likes to pride themselves about all the time, you started in 2012. You actually did not finish before you left office. When you left office, the MPP government came in, and then we completed the UGMC and operationalized it. Dr. Darius was saying...
What are you talking about?
In 2016, it was not completed.
It was completed.
What level of completion was
it? Was about 95. I'm going to give that to you.
And that is exactly the point I wanted to make.
I'm going to give it to you.
95+%. And in fact, it took calls of the media, calls of even the university community, and a number of entities. And I do admit, if you go to the UGMC, there's one block, I believe, that was added by...
Yes, that's the phase 2.
His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But everything else that you see there was practically
done
there was no, before 2017.
There was no,
so what exactly
there was no power. Was it open? No. There's the same thing about these 3 Agenda 111 hospitals. It hadn't been operationalized. Having a hospital building there, then you can say Sewa is...
I was also about to get to that. The state of these 3
we will come there. We will come there. We'll come. There are videos of this. The media, I don't know if Joy FM was represented.
Please
let me know.
How many percentage?
The hospital is called a hospital when you have the shell, the building, when you have the equipment,
the staff,
when you have the staff, and when you have connectivity to electricity,
when you commission,
and
then
I can walk into that hospital.
Did not have, UGMC did not have electricity when we took over. There was still a lot of work to be done. Please, I have all the documents to prove it, so don't interrupt me.
Please, gentlemen.
But I'll
allow you to come in.
And I don't, it's not the MPP that decides a project that is 90. There are contractors and there are a lot of consultants involved in this thing. So we came and we made sure that was done and we operationalized it. In fact, the first CEO of UGMC was able to bring it to the standard that we now experience. Dr. Darius was saying, I was there with him throughout the whole thing. So UGMC story, please don't try and... we came with whatever we inherited, we finished it and we operationalized it and now it's open. You've come, finish
Someone
it.
did 95+%. You came and did the rest.
The 5%.
You see, it's
no,
not
so what is the problem
hold for me. It's not to denigrate the 5%, because if you left it at the 95%,
you could, it wasn't in use.
Why was it left at 95%? Don't forget, it was because there was a change of government.
But Agenda 111 is not a change of government.
But the point I'm making is, we need this continuity. Governance is a continuum.
Exactly.
We shouldn't do this thing about
Ben.
Exactly. But those 3 hospitals you referenced were not operational.
Nobody has said we hadn't operationalized them, but they were complete. They are theater beds in these hospitals. It's something that you just have to come and operationalize, just like we did UGMC. And for somebody that's in your term, that you had Agenda 111 started in 2022, something everybody conveniently tries to forget. Besides that, we completed 47...
No one forced you to complete the 111.
Yes,
you said you would.
I think, so, and that I have admitted that maybe our timelines might have been a little ambitious, because looking at the history of Ghanaian hospitals, no hospital has been completed in even under 4 years. During the first President Mahama government, the Eurojet hospitals he started, he couldn't complete. For Mina and Kumewu, he started himself, and NMS, he couldn't complete. Right. So many hospitals he started himself, more than 8 years, couldn't complete. We came, we completed all those.
Did not do those works in 8 years.
We did not.
So can we take a bite now?
So we came.
Can we take a bite now?
Hold for me, gentlemen. If you do this and I get to the end in a few minutes and I say you can't speak anymore, don't.
Anyway, fine.
We have limited time. I need you to wrap on this.
Okay, sure. So my point is that when we came, there were a lot of projects that we took over and very steadily finished, completed. Bekwai, I've named so many of you. We started and completed, have over 47, which we all have evidence of. Agenda 111, about 30 of them at over 70% levels of completion. I have personally toured some of these facilities. The one in Garu, the day we went there, you should have seen the excitement on the faces of the chiefs there, because now they have a facility in their own district and they don't have to travel miles, and pregnant women don't have to die on their way to
so
hospital.
your point has been made. I just want to, since you're a health person, do you feel sometimes with all of these hospitals, all of these projects we want to box into, you know, a few years, and you've spoken about the practicality of it, could we have done better? Look at Kolebu. Kolebu needs a lot of work to be done. Even the UGMC needs quite a bit to advance. A lot of foreigners go there. Could we have not done 111, but maybe done, say, 20, and done them so well? Because Kolebu is a hub of medical tourism for us. Could we have done that instead of this bit about you start, you end at 75%, you end at 40%, you end at 50%? Money has been sunk in with no guarantees per how we operate of the next government. Why do we do this?
Ben, with issues of health, it's quite sensitive, and it's a sector that requires...
Straightforward answers.
Yeah, I'm going to try and be as straightforward as it is. You cannot just build hospitals like Kolebu, especially for the scale of Ghana. I was just telling you...
I'm not necessarily saying like Kolebu.
Yeah, I'm just saying...
scale down.
We did... I'm saying that we did build about 26 district hospitals. So those are like Agenda 11 like hospitals, between 70 and 100 bed hospitals dotted around the country. But what we realize is that the problem with Kolebu, UGMC, Konfanochi, and all the big hospitals is congestion, because we don't have access to smaller hospitals, to people to go for smaller things. So it was all about decongesting these bigger hospitals. And after that, you can then spend money to upgrade them.
All right. Evans.
See, when it comes to issues of...
And please, for the sake of time, brief, straight to the point. Let's go.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
You are not being fair. You see,
you realize that at the outset, I allowed you to talk so much. It is what it is. So please go ahead.
No, you see, what will come to the development of this nation in relation to the health sector, and you realize the MPP is trying their best to equate their performance to that of NDC. It gives me some,
we did better.
It gives me some level of.
She says they are not equating. They feel they did better.
You see, you are trying to. You see, you are trying to push that.
I was hoping it was head.
You see. MPP did not do anything when it comes to the health sector.
That's not true.
Nothing?
See, what did they do? Your so-called Agenda 111, you could not even complete one for it to be operational.
I told you all the other projects.
Please, can I finish? You see, can I finish?
Go ahead.
She could not name one hospital that was fully completed and operational for 8 years.
47.
For 8 solid years.
I said I can give you 47.
47.
I can give you. I can list 47 for you.
I don't want you to interrupt. I can't do.
Your Agenda 111 is what you started.
I'm telling you, Agenda 111 was in 2022. Why are you saying that before Agenda 111 we did?
So 47 hospitals.
The Bekwai hospital. That is.
Was it the Bekwai? Was it your project?
You see, I'll try, but I don't want you to mislead the people.
You see, on record. You see,
Evans, go ahead.
On record. MPP did not begin any hospital for the past 8 years and complete 7.
That is a lie.
On record.
That is a lie. That is a lie.
There's no hospital in this country.
That is a lie.
That we can say that MPP started and completed 7.
Evans, hold for me. Hold for me. Let me do this.
Yes.
Doc, name 3.
Bogoso. There's this.
Bogoso what?
District Hospital. Manson Kwanta District Hospital. Let me just pull up the nice list for you. And you as media, you can verify.
And they...
A Contombra, if I remember.
Right?
They're operational.
Is it Bogoso what?
They're operational. Let me find it for you.
No.
Manson Kwanta District Hospital.
As for the Manson Kwanta, I can vouch for.
Yes.
You can vouch for what?
These are hospitals. I have documents from the Ministry of Health for every project you did. The ones we inherited from you that we completed. But you've been going on with this lie to the people of Ghana. MPP has not built any hospitals. How does that even sound plausible to you? You think the civil servants and the Ministry of Health, they don't do anything?
Hold for me, Doc.
Was it no? Were you the people who began the Manson Kwanta District Hospital and completed?
Yes.
You see, that is a
We started and completed.
That is not true.
Oh.
I am from Ashanti region and I go to
I'm also from Ashanti
often.
region. No, so provide evidence to the contrary, or let's stop this.
No, that is not true.
Because you
What
said
you
so, it's
ask-
not
you
good
see-
enough. Provide evidence.
No, but what is your evidence?
You can't
said-
just Google the hospital.
You have said that you have completed same.
All right.
What is your evidence? You see,
I severed some ties with a very a former uncle of mine. Let me say that. Okay, political uncle of mine, because I criticized how the health sector was being handled. Okay, see, before the MPP came to power, and then decided to back on
everything we've done.
the
I'm ready to
Agenda
provide it
111.
to the media so that we can
The
put these
NDC
lies to bed.
which one?
Dr. Mako, don't do that. I mean, because
It's from the Ministry of Health.
Benjamin has protected you
that
for
you have done yourself.
far too long.
It's not I've done myself. It's from the Ministry of Health.
You
from the
protected
Ministry of
her
Health.
today. So
Okay,
what I'm trying to say is that when the MPP came to power, there were some hospital projects that were started by the NDC, okay, and they were near completion, and they were abandoned. And I quite remember putting in a word to this media engagement that I think that certain hospitals like Tepa, Sewua,
Right.
Afari should be given the full attention and then complete it, because after all, it's the taxpayers' money. And because Agenda 111 has been proposed, okay, somebody got angry with me. Somebody I was very close with, and he does be very tough to me these days. Okay, very angry with me that why are you saying that? We need to also build our own legacy, and then at the end of the day, so that Dr. Mako will come and say that, look at Agenda 111, we did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all that. You see, the point is that, first of all, let's not trivialize our health sector.
Please,
Can
please,
we
let-
put
no,
us
no,
on?
no,
You
don't-
see,
don't truncate yourself.
when she was
Evans,
let's put
Evans,
something.
please.
No, let's put something on record.
I will give you time to
Can we
react.
do
Yeah,
that?
okay, so
No.
maybe,
Okay, thank you.
So let's not trivialize and petty when it comes to our health sector. I mean, we're talking about the health of this country, all right? And for the record, it is the funds of the citizens of Ghana,
Indeed.
which is being used to put up all these hospitals. So it doesn't matter who is what and what. We decide when we need a hospital, okay? And then when that hospital is started, it doesn't matter who is in power. Once it is for the benefit of Ghanaians, somebody must complete it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who.
Point
yes.
made. Your point is made.
But I'm not done. Okay, so the health sector, I won't go there. Okay. Now let me go to the children of the former.
So that'll be your final word.
Yes,
That'll be your
the children
final.
of chief of staffs who are being invited for some sort of conversation.
Right.
Okay. Now
The mining related.
Yes,
Right.
I really want to see how this ends. Okay, because if the head of all government appointees, okay, and which includes the Minerals Commission and all that, okay, have children who decide to do things off the book, I'll be surprised. So I'm not alluding or accusing anybody, but I'm saying that I would like to see how this conversation ends.
All right.
Because then
Right.
it will give us a lot of opportunity to interrogate the ex-Wa Akufo-Addo government.
All right, thank you.
And certain licenses
Thank you.
and
Evans.
certain opportunities that will give
Evans,
to certain people.
quick thoughts.
You see,
You have less
No,
than
she's-
you have about
she
40.
have protected her today.
She indicated
She's got the
to
plan
the
set
people
today.
of Ghana and your viewers that MPP started the Contobra Hospital and completed same. It's a total lie. And your
evidence is?
your producer NDC started it, and your producer can fact check same. I said the Contobra Hospital.
When did you start it?
Check it.
When?
NDC started.
So
Put it on record.
When?
Which year exactly?
NDC started in 2015, 2016, and could not complete same. And they came to complete it. Go and check it. They did not start it. Please, I want this one to be fact checked.
What about
So that we see.
I'm just going to say this.
I'm talking about a Contobra
Evans, thank
thing.
you.
I agree
So your
with
point
that.
is made.
So
Okay,
let's
okay.
check it so that
Thank you.
we'll realize who is lying to the people of this country.
One problem we have, though, and sometimes even for us media people, it is a bit of a difficulty. I think we need to get to the point where, though we have the ministries and all that, there has to be a way of tracking. You know, that there was the Obameter, for
Yes,
example,
yes.
for Barack Obama,
Yes.
of tracking everything. Because sometimes you can't even rely on the information coming from a specific ministry because of which party has been in power at a time. And then we get into this game.
Yes.
Where the NDC will say this, the MPP will say that. And it has happened many times where an administration starts something, another one continues and claims it is ours. From both ends, different ways.
Ben, so
you have the final word and then we're done.
So I am looking at...
You've not given me my final word.
Come on, Benji.
But that was your final word you took.
I am looking at
the final word I was
the ministry register from the Ministry of Health. In December 2019, we went for a loan from the VAMED Engineering GM something co KG. December 2019 for five hospitals in the Western region: Akontomra, Elubo, Bogoso, Mpoho, Nsuem, and Wasadungwa.
So hold for me. What's the source of this?
This is Ministry of Health contracts register. So it wasn't even for political purpose. Contracts register.
Contract register.
I have the contract register from 2000 till today. This is the contract.
From 2000.
Yes, different documents. Yes, but this is
the
just
Ministry of Health.
Yes, this is just 2024.
No, clarify. Take your time.
Yes.
Ministry of Health.
Ministry of Health contracts register February 2020.
Can it be forwarded?
I'll forward it. Updates on infrastructure. Right. I'm telling you, this was my job.
Gentlemen,
I took that from 2000.
Will be continued.
The fact that
we got the money
for those who joined us for this conversation, Evans Amankwa is a lawyer and member of the NDC's communications team. Dr. Ike Amwako is with the communications directorate of the MPP. Osei Kofi Akwa is with the CPP's communications team. We take a breather. We'll be back on the AM show. Do stay.